Hey guys, Snoopy here. Today we're going to be looking at the Shaper. Shaper comes from the Leaders and Lore expansion pack in Arcs, and he has two abilities here. So first is Mythic. After you tax a city, you may place one resource you have over the planet's resource icon. From now on, its planet type is the placed resource, and its planet type cannot be changed again with Mythic. And then Ancient, you cannot catapult move from starports, but you can catapult move from gates. You start with a relic and material, and then you have the standard setup, except you don't get a starport in the B planet, and you get one extra ship in C, which is usually in the gate. So, what do we think of the Shaper? Well, the Shaper is unique in that his catapult movement is always active from the gate. And so if you can get to a gate, you can move pretty quickly, but then with the rules, you're going to stop once you get to a planet. So you can go through the gates pretty easily, but sometimes there's nothing going on in a gate unless you have a lore card that does something. And so the gate movement is useful. It can be, but it's not often what you're wanting to do because you want to be where your cities are, your starports are. So that movement can be useful because it's always active, but it's not often when you want it to be active. And then for Mythic, it's pretty situational when you would use it. In my games, I've usually seen it only once, maybe twice, but it's usually not something you're going to do the first couple of turns. It's something that Act 2, Act 3, you may see a Shaper player use that ability to kind of really change the game. But it's something that you need to think about. What about the lore cards you would draft with a Shaper? Because of the gate ability, we're definitely going to lean towards either gate stations or gate ports, and so those lets us build a city or a starport on a gate, respectively. And so that's something that we're going to be looking for. If we can pair it with our Shaper, it's going to really unlock what we can do. Otherwise, I'm going to look for something like Sprinter drives, which lets us move in extra time. So the drawback of having to catapult only from gates now is mitigated because I can move into a gate and then catapult. And so that's something that if I have the Shaper and one of these lore cards, I'm going to be pretty excited. Otherwise, I'm going to have to be a little bit more creative in how I'm going to use my abilities. And so with Mythic specifically, changing what a planet is, that's really going to depend on your map setup, whether you're playing a 2-3 player game where two clusters are gone, or whether you're playing a 4-player game where only just one cluster is gone, so there's more planets on the map. But just something to think about with lore cards is how can I pair one of these lure cards with either Mythic, where I'm changing my tax and changing what's going to be on the board, or with Ancient, how I move. And really, with lure cards, at this point, we're just looking at the movement and the gate aspect. And then for the guild cards, we're looking for Gatekeepers is an obvious choice. So since we're going to be in gates, especially if we can get one of those two lure cards for the gate cities or gate starports, then Gatekeepers makes a lot of sense so we can get extra dice. Or if nothing else, we can discard it to get a ship in each gate. So that's going to give us either 4 ships in a 2 or 3 player game, or give us 5 ships in a 4-player game. Another card is Skirmishers, and any real weapon guild card, so we can discard it to get 3 extra ships. But this one lets us re-roll skirmish dice, depending on our weapon icons. And so if we can synchronize with that, we can get some ships on the board. We can change what planets are. We can be in the gates. So we can try to pursue a more aggressive strategy. But skirmishers could let us do that, especially with paired with Gatekeepers or other weapon cards. And then as far as what about Mythic? What are cards that synchronize with Mythic? One option is Relic Fence. And so Relic Fence lets us discard any resource to gain 1 relic. And so relics generally are one of the fewer planets, so there's only 3 on the map total, and oftentimes it's one of the planets that's marked out when you're doing setup. And so there may only be 1 or 2 planets where you could build a city and tax relic. And so if we can go there ourselves and terraform it into something else, so now there's no way to tax relic, or it's not easy because the one planet is a starport, then we can easily monopolize on relic resources and by just getting a ton of relics through relic fence. So that's one option, and we do start the game with a relic. But otherwise, there's not a lot of options to really go deep on the mythic attribute. So I would focus more on how can you live in the gates, be a monster on your side of the board through your gate, and then kind of have guild cards to help you with that part. Okay. Those are my main thoughts on the Shaper. You may have gotten the tone that I'm not the biggest fan of this leader. I think he is at best a B tier leader. He doesn't have any major downsides. I think the catapult is bad but not terrible. It's just a mythic is really situational, and so that ability to change a planet type could be very useful, but it may not be clear when to use it until Act 2 or even 3, and by then the game may already be well past you, with certain leaders can easily steamroll you unless you can get the table to help stop. So I think not starting with a starport is pretty bad. You get a material to help with that, so you can use your material to build a starport with a construct card. But if you don't have any construction cards to start in Act 1, and no one leads with construction until later on, it can be tough for you with even with 9 ships. It can be tough for you to really kind of set the tone because you don't have a great start sometimes with depending on your setup. So overall, I would say Shaper is not the best leader. I would definitely, if I had a Shaper or a lore card to pick first, I would pick a lore card because Shaper's probably going to stay around and I can pick him up later. I'd rather have a really strong lore card like Sprinter Drives or Predictive Sensors or even Mirror Plating, or if I see a gate stations or gate ports, I'm definitely picking that, knowing that Shaper probably is going to stick around so I can pick him up later. And then for guild cards, there's some guild cards that are always good, but if you have a Shaper, keep your eye out for gatekeepers, keep your eye out for any weapon card, but specifically probably skirmishers. And then keep in mind, like, you could try relic strategy. If you can terraform enough relic planets to where they're not relic anymore and you get relic fence, you can monopolize relic. But that would put a target on you, so people would be trying to raid you and attack you. So something to think about for sure. But overall, I think the Shaper is just okay. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments.